Hi everyone, and welcome to my presentation on my case study and disability paper. First, I'm going to talk about my case study, and I'm going to name him Lane for this purpose. He's a 5-year-old kindergartner, and he does the Reading Buddies program through NISLA. He enjoys watching and playing sports, Super Mario Bros., and he enjoys time spent with his family. His favorite animals are sharks and dinosaurs, which we read many books on. First is his expressive language, which was assessed, and I did a language sample, which included a time he was happy or sad, a celebration, something he knows a lot about, how to make something, and the retell of the bear and the fly story. From that, I got an MLU of 7.9 and a complexity index of 3.97. So his sentences included mostly sentence attempts and simple sentences, since you can tell from my data. The next area I assessed was his receptive language. I did the Toy Story comprehension task, and he answered 2 out of the 3 questions asked before the story was read, and then I read the story to him, and he answered 3 out of the 8 questions correctly. He answered 2 of the questions correctly that were explicit, which means that they were answered in the story, and 1 that was answered correctly that was implicit, which was inferred from the story. So he did struggle with this a little bit. Next was the cognitive task. He received a score of 3 out of 3 on this. He followed the directions correctly. He drew a picture of himself, had a big smile on his face, and then he also wrote his name at the top of the paper correctly. So this shows his cognitive skills and his abilities pretty well. Next, I'm going to talk about my disability paper, which is on Down syndrome. Some background information is it is a genetic disorder where there's an extra or additional chromosome on the chromosome 21, or trisomy 21, it's called too. It occurs in 1 in 700 births, which can be detected before pregnancy, and some delays include the physical, cognitive, and language development. So some physical impairments are mental retardation, middle ear disease, immune and endocrine system abnormalities, skeletal, heart, and digestive system defects. The language impairments I looked at, I focused on the parameters of language, which is morphology, syntax, semantics, phonology, and pragmatics. Morphology is the smallest unit of language that has meaning. So for example, cat is 1 morpheme, cats is 2. Play is 1 morpheme, played is 2. And so then the MLU was calculated for them, and that's the mean length utterance, which is morphemes divided by utterances. Down syndrome was 3.5 to 4.27 on average, and then 3.7 to 4.5 was the normal developing children. So they were delayed compared to them. Pragmatics is the social use of language. Down syndrome strength is socialization, I feel like. From the paper, I actually know that socialization is one of the strengths. They struggled with turn-taking, wait time, and maintaining a topic, and also asking or giving appropriate responses, though. So those are the areas they did struggle with for socialization. Semantics is the meaning of language, and the expressive and receptive language were affected. Vocab and grammar were limited also. The inflections impaired. This is what they studied, and there was a score of 0 for nominal inflections and 1 for verbal inflections for the Down syndrome children, and the normal developing children scored 7 in nominal and 6 in verbal, so they were delayed compared to them. Phonology is a sound system or speech sounds of language. The areas assessed were consonant production, phonological processes, and approximation of phonological word structures. So they were delayed on fricatives, affricates, glides, liquids, cluster reduction, final consonant deletion, stopping, gliding, pre-vocalic voicing, vocalization, and final consonant devoicing. These are areas that normal, typically developing children do have errors on, but they were slower to fix these errors or reduce these errors too. Next is syntax, or the ways words, phrases, and sentences are formed. There's a delay in the speech and syntactic competence. They don't know how to tell a story in order or organize it, and they also cannot finish sentences very well, or they'll not finish them. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.